Power Africa.
At this time, I want to paraphrase another text from the Old Testament, and this is Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 6. And it says that, nevertheless, I will bring health and healing to it. He was referring to the city of Jerusalem, how it was polluted, how the evils had just crowded the skies and even the streets of Jerusalem, and says, I will heal my people and will let them enjoy abundant peace and security. So God is promising restoration of his people. And I want to give you this hope of restoration, that amidst this coronavirus, God is going to heal his people. Are you infected? Are you affected in one way or another as a family, as I am talking to you today? God has promised that he will heal the land, this city. The cities of the world today are crying of COVID-19, but God is saying he will heal them, and he will heal the people and let them enjoy abundance, peace, and security.
I came for you! Oh, now stop playing around and let's go home!
Somebody help!
Shut up! I've had it up to here with Miguel, always looking over my shoulder and blaming me for everything that goes wrong! Don't touch me!
Stay still! How can this animal be your friend?
It's one thing to be his friend, but I'm not required to change his behavior.
Well, then you should learn to choose your friends better.
On Unscripted with Grace.
I'm tired. A common phrase we hear and feel, but sometimes it goes deeper, to the point of attempting to take your own life.
Went to the kitchen, took a jelly can, implicated myself fire.
When your son is right there?
I was tired. I felt tired, Grace.
But, as fate would have it, you survive it.
It's not a very proud story to tell.
And your scars tell a tale of victory.
But that's, I think, what happened to me.
Join Grace Musalame this Saturday from 8 p.m.
This is NTV.
Just in time for your most comprehensive bulletin at this hour. Good afternoon. Welcome to NTV at 1. I am Julians Amboko. And we begin with the prevailing economic situation. And the Council of Governors is now threatening legal action and a shutdown in the devolved units to compel the National Treasury to release 95 billion shillings in delayed equitable share disbursements to the counties. In a letter to the Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukuriatani on Monday, COG Chairperson Wycliffe Oparanya says the delays in disbursement of up to 4 months had hindered service delivery, warning that the devolved units may have to be shut down if the disbursements are not made forthwith. COG says devolved units have yet to pay employees, contractors and suppliers to appropriate funds for development. Oparanya says they are now left with no option but to seek legal redress or close down if the national government does not release funds soon enough. Now, on the 36th day of the nationwide nurses strike, the Kenya National Union of Nurses insists its members will not return to work until a deal is reached. The nurses union is blaming the Council of Governors for the stalemate. KNUN also says that some nurses have not received a salary for up to 16 months.
It's unfortunate that even the initial signing of the return to work formula for the nurses union has not taken place, despite the fact that the issues we agreed on all the issues. And this is a clear indication that health sector in this country has not been taken with the seriousness it deserves.
It is a blame game that we are not ready to enter into. What we know is that there is a commitment by the national government, but the Council of Governors is changing their goalposts at the last minute.
And away from matters public finance, let's get to politics, where Amani National Congress Party legislators have asked Deputy President William Ruto to resign or be impeached for disrespecting President Uhuru Kenyatta and sabotaging the national government. We now join our political reporter Vincent Odwor, who is at the ANC party headquarters here in Nairobi, where the ANC press conference took place. Vincent, what more can you tell us about this issue?
Absolutely. The ANC party leaders, led by ANC Deputy Party Leader Ayub Savula, were here, and they have really vowed to take a lead in forming or coming up with an impeachment motion against Deputy President William Ruto. And they are arguing that William Ruto, as the Deputy President and the second in command in the Jubilee administration, has failed to carry out his mandate as the Deputy President. And they are arguing that Deputy President William Ruto has been disrespecting the president by ridiculing the president publicly and also criticizing some of the agenda that is being pushed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. And they're also arguing that the deputy president has been subverting his mandate as the deputy president and also subverting his mandate to serve in the office of the deputy president and also as the principal assistant to the president. And they are saying there is no way they are going to allow the DP to continue sabotaging the government from within. And they are saying that it is high time that the DP resigns, or they are going to marshal other members of parliament to come up with numbers on the floor of the National Assembly to push for his impeachment. And also they've really taken issue with the deputy president, criticizing BBI and also saying that moving forward he'll only focus on development and leave alone anything to do with the BBI, arguing that BBI is a national project and is the main President Uhuru Kenyatta's agenda as he finishes his second and last term. And therefore they are saying they won't allow the person who is supposed to be a principal assistant to the president to be the one leading in sabotaging him. Also, they've also talked about the issue of supporting the president move to state that, this country, it is now high time for another tribe also to take the lead of this country as the head of state. And they are saying that they are supporting president on that, and therefore there is need for other tribes also to get an opportunity to go for the presidency and also get an opportunity to serve Kenya as a head of state, arguing that in 2013 DP Ruto, they've criticized DP Ruto for criticizing the mandate or the move or the statement by President Uhuru Kenyatta, arguing that in 2013 Deputy Ruto galvanized two communities to be able to push for his agenda. And they're asking how comes now is criticizing the president for talking about the need for another tribe also to be given an opportunity to go for the presidency. This is what Ayub Savula said initially on issue to do with the plan to impeach Deputy President William Ruto.
Hii uhasama ya naibu ya rais kutusi rais kila siku tutalete shida kwa nchi. Afadhali resign atoke kwa ofisi ama sisi wajumbe, kwa sababu tuna numbers. Yeye anasema na 150. Tunataka tulete impeachment motion. Tuangalie hiyo namba yake ya 150 ni gani. Na katiba inasema impeachment ni simple majority. Simple majority kule bungeni. Sasa kama ana nguvu ya 150, wacha saa hii ajidefend. Sisi tumwambia rais, toa huyu mtu kwa ofisi ama achia sisi tupe nguvu tumutoe kwa ofisi. Kwa sababu kutukana rais ni kwenda kinyume cha katiba. Na hiyo ni baadhi ya masuala yale tunasema constitutional provision ya kuimpeach the president. Undermining the president. Kuonyesha huyu rais si rais. Kama mimi ndio naweza. Na kujipiga kifua. Siasa ya kujipiga kifua ilienda na sera za chama kimoja.
Exactly. I can tell you that the issue to do with BBI and also the rotational presidency is going to really shape the agenda of politics ahead of the 2022 general election. That is it for now. I'm taking you back to studio.
Many thanks, my colleague Vincent Odor, for giving us that update from the political arena regarding issues surrounding the Deputy President. Elsewhere, and on to some sad news. Nyandarua County is mourning the death of the Ruri Ward Member of County Assembly John Mburu Githinji, popularly known as Wamaria. According to his brother, Jack Githinji, Wamaria has been battling chest cancer and succumbed to the illness on Monday morning at his home in Ruri. Members of the County Assembly and executive led by embattled County Assembly Speaker Ndegwa Wahome stated that his death was a big blow. Acting Speaker Zachary Njeru said that the House will be adjourned for 2 weeks to allow the mourning of the deceased. They add that the deceased was focused and active during sessions at the House. He left behind a wife and 6 children.
Sisi kama viongozi katika Nyandarua, haswa MCA na pade ya governor, tutaungana pamoja na familia na wote ambao watakuwa wakiomboleza kifo cha mwenzetu, na tutaanzia hilo jambo kuanzia leo. Hii siku ya tarehe 11 mwezi wa Januari 2021.
And let's cross the borders to Uganda, where polls opened on Thursday in a highly charged election after one of the bloodiest campaigns in years, as veteran leader Yoweri Museveni seeks a 6th term against the singer-turned-lawmaker half his age, Bobi Wine. The 38-year-old, popularly known as the ghetto president, quote-unquote, who hung up the mic to enter politics, leads the opposition field, trying to unseat Museveni, a 76-year-old former rebel leader who has ruled since 1986.
Facebook has shut a slew of accounts belonging to Ugandan government officials accused of seeking to manipulate public debate ahead of elections on Thursday. The East African nation is holding presidential and parliamentary elections after a tense and bloody campaign, with incumbent President Yoweri Museveni facing a stiff challenge from the pop star turned politician Bobi Wine. Anim Ado says the network was linked to the government Ministry of Information and Communications Technology. Museveni's senior press secretary Don Wanyama, whose both Facebook and Instagram account was shut down, is accusing the company of seeking to influence the election. Museveni's online account is still active, but many government officials and members of the ruling party have seen their pages taken down. The president has long accused foreign organizations and elements of backing Wine in a bid to remove his government. Some 18 million voters are registered for the presidential and parliamentary ballot, which follows a pre-election crackdown more severe than any seen in recent times, and growing signs the race has been tilted against Museveni's rivals. His opponents, mostly visible Wine, who spent much of the campaign in a bulletproof vest and combat helmet, have been arrested, denied permission to rally, and seen their meetings dispersed with tear gas and supporters shot in the streets. Journalists covering opposition rallies, meanwhile, have been attacked, government critics locked up, and election monitors prosecuted, raising concerns over the transparency of the electoral process. The bloodshed, particularly the deaths of 54 people over 2 days of protests in November, was condemned abroad and has intensified international pressure on Museveni to ensure a free and fair vote.
And to the education sector now, and there is concern over the missing learners in Kisii County 1 week after schools reopened. While inspecting the progress of the reopening for both public primary and secondary schools in the county, senior government officials say various stakeholders are currently tracing the missing learners in order to bring them back to school. Among the schools reported to have not registered full attendance include Tendere Primary School in Gucha Sub-County, Green Hill Academy, Mobamba Primary School in Masaba South, Suguta Girls Secondary School in Nyamache, and Bishop Mugendi Secondary School in Sameta Sub-County.
Kuna wengine hawajarudi shuleni kwa sababu tofauti, wengine wasichana labda walipata mimba katika wakati huu mrefu ambao wamekuwa nyumbani, na wengine pia wameolewa. Lakini tumeweza kujadiliana na wasimamizi wa mashule pamoja na county commissioner na chiefs kuhakikisha kwamba hawa watoto wanatafutwa na kurudi shuleni. Pia tungependa kutilia mkazo kwa wazazi ambao wana watoto ambao labda walipata mimba, warudi shule wasome hadi wakati ambapo watajifungua.
And on the flip side, at least 98% of students at Garissa High School have reported back to school after the 9-month closure of schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is according to the government, which also says an operation to get all learners back to school is underway. Mining PS Karimi Kaberia, who has been monitoring the process in Garissa County, says the government is impressed with the turnout to this end and is now urging those who are yet to report back to school to do so. Kaberia says his tour was to also ensure that students have sufficient desks and books provided by the government. This comes as President Uhuru Kenyatta instructed the Ministry of Interior through all chiefs and assistant chiefs to ensure that all learners report back to school.
Besides just checking the return to school or the number of students that have come back, we are here to support the process through the provincial administration, the Ministry of Education and other multi-agencies to ensure that we encourage and find those others that have not come so that we encourage them to come back to school.
Now, away from politics, Amboko Court has ordered the detainment of Christian Mwambei Kadima, the lead suspect in the death of lawyer Caroline Koki, for 14 more days to allow authorities to conduct investigation pertaining the suspect's identity. The prosecution says Kadima was arrested with a Safaricom line registered under a South African name, Zuchiswa Genevieve. His temporary Kenyan pass is registered under the name Eric Kambugi Katalai Kadima. It is reported that the suspect is wanted in South Africa, where he goes by the name Lodge Christian Kadima and was arrested after allegedly assaulting a woman. Kadima skipped bail in South Africa and managed to flee to Kenya. The suspect will be held in remand at Mlolongo Police Station awaiting mention on the 25th of January.
The prosecution highlighted a few issues as to the reasons for the application. One of them was the identity of the suspect. He's still a suspect because he has not taken plea. And they said that he bears several names as is appearing in several documents that they have. They gave an example that the suspect had registered in Kenya as a Safaricom number 0742 640 835 using a South African passport.
And staying with the courts, the Anti-Corruption Court has referred an application made by Tharaka Nithi County Governor Muthomi Njuki seeking to challenge the acts he has been charged under. The Anti-Corruption Court said it has no jurisdiction to determine the application. The case has now been referred to the High Court for interpretation as to whether he and 20 other accused persons were rightfully charged under the Anti-Corruption Act. The decision arose from an application by defense lawyers to the effect that their clients were not aware under which act of the law they have been charged with. The charge sheet indicates the accused are charged under the Penal Code and the Anti-Corruption Act. The court has also refused an application seeking to refer the case to Tharaka Nithi as sought by the defense lawyers. Njuki and his co-accused were charged with conspiracy to defraud the county government of 34 million shillings through an unprocedural tendering process. And a man from Osen area in Baringo County has been arraigned in Kabarnet for impersonating a DCI officer and defrauding a senior government official for operating an unlicensed clinic in Baringo North. The suspect, Alexander Kibet, alias DT Donald, presented himself as an inspector of police attached to the DCI headquarters. Kibet was arrested in Marigat town, where he had arranged to receive 300,000 from the victim, claiming to pay for feeder. The court has granted DCI officers 7 more days to complete the investigation. And from the corridors of justice, NTV at 1 takes a short break. We'll be right back with a lot more stories.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
That is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
It was one of the most significant takeovers in Kenya's banking history. 15 months after the buyout, is National Bank on sound capital footing? Has the COVID-19 pandemic derailed the bank's aggressive recovery of bad debt? How does the bank see risk pricing evolving in the present state of the market? In the next edition of Business Redefined, we host the Managing Director of the National Bank of Kenya. Welcome back to NTV at 1. Kenya Coast Guards in Busia County have launched an operation targeting illegal fishing equipment in the region. The officers have destroyed illegal fishing gear confiscated between October and December 2020. Kenya Coast Guard Commander Regional Jotham Odera's 60 fishing nets and updated lifesaver jackets worth 5 million shillings were destroyed after obtaining a court order from Busia law courts. The move is aimed at ensuring fishermen use recommended fishing gear, which helps to increase the number of fish in the lake. He further called on the fishermen to follow the set guidelines given by the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
One is actually to discourage people from using the undersized nets, the monofiller nets, which are really destructive of our fisheries resources. And as you can see, there is a lot of support from even the BMU management. They normally call us whenever their beaches are infringed with those illegal nets.
And at least 200 households in Mukuru slums may spend the night out in the cold after an inferno razed their homes this morning, destroying property of unknown value. The incident took place at around 1 a.m. at Mukuru Jamaica slum located in Viwandani ward in Makadara sub-county. Witnesses say the fire started from a structure where the owner stored gas cylinders. Moments later, the cylinders exploded and the fire spread to other structures. The fire was fanned by strong winds and the impassable roads in the slums affected the efficiency of operations to put out the inferno. International supermodel Naomi Campbell is Kenya's International Tourism Ambassador. This follows a meeting between Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala and Campbell in which she agreed to the offer. The tourism industry is among the worst affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Signs of recovery are beginning to be witnessed in different parts of the world, even though a second strain of COVID-19 threatens to scuttle the recovery path. And across the borders, Tanzania President John Magufuli hosted his Mozambican counterpart Felipe Nyusi as the leaders discussed regional issues and security coming in the wake of jihadist attacks in the region where the two countries border. Insurgents slaughtered civilians in villages in northern Mozambique and across the border in Tanzania last November.
Tumeongelea pia kuhusu mambo ya COVID, vipi tuna manage, na pia kuangalia hata mambo ya usalama tunafanya vipi. Kwa hiyo huo umekuwa mambo ya infrastructures, pia umekuwa kama tumechange na view na kujua nini kinaendelea hivi huku na nini tufanye kule kwetu kwenye integration ya Afrika huku East kwetu huku SADC.
Undugu wa Tanzania na Msumbiji utaendelea kuwepo leo, kesho, hata maisha yote, kwa sababu undugu huu hauwezi kuvunjika hata siku moja, na tutauendeleza, na ni washauri wa Tanzania tuendelee kufanya biashara kwa ajili ya manufaa ya nchi yetu, tujenge uchumi wa nchi zetu, lakini tulinde usalama.
Now, even as the number of COVID-19 cases increases in South Africa, fueled by a new virus strain, the government there has secured 20 million doses of vaccines. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the delivery of the vaccines will be made during the first half of 2021.
The sale of alcohol from retail outlets and the on-site consumption of alcohol is still not permitted. Health services in several parts of the country reported that the prohibition of alcohol sales had significantly reduced the number of trauma cases seen in our hospitals over the New Year period. There are certain rituals that we perform in line with our respective cultures and traditions, not just at the funeral itself, but also many days before the funeral. But these are all things we simply cannot continue doing.
And in the United States, organizers say U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration will seek to foster national unity as fears of renewed violence prompted the Pentagon to authorize a surge of troops ahead of the event. About 15,000 members of the National Guard have been ready for deployment, with 6,200 already on the ground in Washington following mob violence that broke out at the Capitol Hill last week. Organizers announced the inauguration's United America theme less than a week after supporters of outgoing President Donald Trump ransacked the Capitol building, including the stage area on which Biden is set to be inaugurated. Normal celebrations had already been curtailed by the coronavirus pandemic, which has killed more than 370,000 people in the U.S., the world's largest death toll. Biden says he is not afraid of taking oath out in the open.
I'm not afraid of taking the oath outside, and we've been getting briefed, but I think it's critically important that there be a real serious focus on holding those folks who engage in sedition and threaten people's lives, deface public property, cause great damage, that they be held accountable.
A United Nations-backed summit made up of political leaders and CEOs pledging to reverse the accelerating destruction of the natural world was long on promises and short on cash. The French-led One Planet Summit, backed by the United Nations and the World Bank, saw more than 50 nations support a plan to create protected areas covering 30% of global lands and oceans. The so-called 30-30 initiative could become the cornerstone of a critical biodiversity meet in Kunming, China, postponed last year due to the coronavirus pandemic. While Beijing has yet to announce a new date, sources involved in the preparation say it is likely to take place in early October. So far, efforts to restore nature on a global scale have failed spectacularly. The planet is on a cusp of a mass extinction event, only the sixth in half a billion years, in which species are disappearing at 100 to 1,000 times the normal background rate. Most scientists agree the impact of the climate change has only recently started to kick in. Roughly a football pitch of old-growth tropical forest is felled or goes up in smoke, every 6 seconds. Now, Kenyan international Michael Olunga is reported to have joined Qatar Stars League side Al Duhail SC after a picture of him in the club's jersey was leaked on social media on Monday night. Neither the Qatar Stars League outfit nor Olunga's Kashiwa Raysol have made an announcement. Details of the contract have also not been made public. However, reports from Japan said Olunga left Raysol early on Sunday and was believed to be heading to Qatar to complete his transfer to Al Duhail. Meanwhile, the Qatari club, which is currently second on the top flight log, takes on Al Saad. Now, Manchester United can go top of the English Premier League if they draw or beat Burnley at the Turf Moor in tonight's late kickoff. United are tied with Liverpool on 33 points, though the Red Devils have a game in hand. Meanwhile, Burnley are the 16th with 16 points from 15 games. Man United have put together a pretty decent away record. They are unbeaten in their last 14 Premier League away matches. United forward Edinson Cavani is available again after completing a 3-match ban. In the day's other fixtures, Sheffield host Newcastle and Everton travel to Wolves. Now, tennis top stars face the threat of sanctions if they breach strict COVID-19 protocols when they arrive this week for an Australia Open tourney. Tennis Australian initially wanted players to arrive in Melbourne by mid-December, but restrictions on the international travels to the state of Victoria pushed the tournament to start on the 8th of February. Melbourne was the epicenter of Australia's largest second wave of the outbreak of the coronavirus, which prompted strict lockdown measures for 4 months. Players will face stricter measures compared to last year's US and French Opens held in cities stricken by the virus and will be required to spend 19 hours in daily quarantine confined to their hotel rooms. And on to some developing story, we are told there are some major developments in Savo East, and my colleague Bill Otieno is on standby to give us the latest. Bill, what's happening on that side? Bill Otieno, can you hear me? Bill Otieno, can you hear me? Right, I'm told we're having a challenge getting across to Bill Otieno, but as and when he's ready, we shall give you that update that takes us to the close of NTV at 1. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
This is NTV.
There was a moment in time when we stopped attending physical classes to stay safe, but that did not mean that learning had to stop. At ZTech University, we continue to deliver the highest quality of education through technology and integrated innovation in educating our future leaders. We now have the go-ahead to go back on the quest of knowledge, to go back and search for solutions that our world needs. As we reopen to this new normal, we are committed to excellence. We have adhered to the Ministry of Health COVID-19 guidelines, keeping our students and the learning environment safe. We're back. We're safe. We're learning. We admit both self and government-sponsored students for our degree, diploma and certificate programs that are accredited by the Commission for University Education. ZTech University. Invent your future.
Go Ahead is believing to make each day a brighter day. The confidence to create opportunity. Going ahead is our courage to do something new. To go ahead. Now, that is the Kenyan spirit.
At this time, I want to paraphrase another text from the Old Testament, and this is Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 6, and it says that nevertheless I will bring health
and healing to it. He was referring to the city of Jerusalem, how it was polluted, how the evils and just crowded the skies and even the streets of Jerusalem, and says, I will heal my people and will let them enjoy abundant peace and security. So God is promising restoration of his people. And I want to give you this hope of restoration, that amidst this coronavirus, God is going to heal his people. Are you infected? Are you affected in one way or another as a family, as I am talking to you today? God has promised that he will heal the land, this city. The cities of the world today are crying of COVID-19, but God is saying he will heal them, and he will heal the people and let them enjoy abundance, peace, and security.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Thank you for joining us on Health Diary. My name is Gladys Gashanja and we're coming to you from the Concord Hotel and Suites. Now, it is known as an old man's or an old woman's disease, but today we take time to dispel that myth about arthritis. Why? Well, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, arthritis can afflict anyone and at any age. Well, we understand more about arthritis on today's episode, but before we get to that fact-finding mission, let's start off with the fact of the matter. Arthritis is an inflammation of the joints and it can affect one joint or multiple joints. Main symptoms of arthritis are joint pain and stiffness, which typically worsen with age. There are more than 100 different types of arthritis with different causes and treatment methods. The most common types of arthritis are osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Osteoarthritis causes cartilage, the hard slippery tissue that covers the ends of bones where they form a joint, to break down. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disorder that first targets the lining of joints, that is the synovium. Children can also suffer from arthritis referred to as juvenile arthritis, which points on various pediatric rheumatoid diseases that can develop in children under the age of 16.
It was on a Sunday. We had gone to visit one of our auntie. When we came back, I noticed she have some swellings at the wrist, at the ankles. The following Monday morning, I went to Naivasha District Hospital and I was just given something to apply, a gel. I stayed for 1 week with no change. I went back. I was given an appointment to go for x-rays. By that time, the knees have started swelling, the knees and the wrist. When we went for the x-ray, everything was clear. She was not praying. She was just like that. She don't want to eat, fatigue, just restless. I met a doctor already, and she told me we have a very good rheumatologist in Kenya, and she'll send me there. And the following day, we went there to Aga Khan. We met her, and we started now that process. After 1 month, she told me now my daughter is suffering from juvenile arthritis. I was so scared. I never thought kids can get arthritis. It really affected her. Most of the time she was indoors. She couldn't even want to walk outside. She couldn't pray. Most of the time it was hard to walk. Most of the time she was vomiting. And I really thank God, because after we started that medication at Aga Khan Hospital, she has really changed. It is tough. You have to be with her all through. The medicines, there are so many. Even you get sometimes per day, she can take even 20. You have to even to get her special diet to keep her strong, Per month, the medicine is around 20,000. And to go there, coming back to see the doctor is 4,200. So I usually go with around 30. But I can request the Kenyan government to give us support, especially to these young kids who are suffering to such diseases which are very expensive, at least the NHIF to cover.
So for a long time, arthritis has been thought to be an old man's disease, and today we take time to figure out how is it that now children or even younger people have arthritis. To help us understand this, we have Dr. Angela Migoa, who is a pediatric rheumatologist, and Wakonyo Nguyai, who is living with arthritis. Ladies, thank you for joining me. Now, to start with, Daktari, being a pediatric rheumatologist means that children suffer from arthritis. How so?
So contrary to common belief, arthritis in children is not as rare as people might think it is. I think for a long time we've focused, and rightfully so,